I'm going to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting to order for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. Clerk, please provide roll call.
1 presiding, 10 present, 1 absent.
Let the record show that Commissioner Morgan is absent and excused this evening. Commissioner Walker, would you lead us in the prayer and the pledge? Thank you, Commissioner Walker. At this time, I would like to call for any public comment on any items on the agenda. Public comment on the agenda. Please state your name and address for the record.
Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue. So, I just have a random comment on presentation, which is communication number 7, 2025-545. I'd like to know how much water the golf course uses up during the year. That would be, I feel like we'd all like to know that. 'Cause during the drought season, they have very green lawns, but I get it. And then also, communication number 9, 2025-555. I'd just like to commend the City of Butte for signing an agreement with the Anaconda Job Corps, because that's awesome. And I believe that's all of the comments I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. Is there any other public comment on any matter on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of the minutes. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the November 5, 2025 meeting.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from November 5th, 2025. Would commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to items not addressed on the agenda. We do not have any tonight. The Chief Executive's report. I do not have anything to report on behalf of JP or Chairman Morgan, so we will just forego that and move on to Section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and or presentations. Let's see. County Attorney Enruth, for these bid openings this evening, do we have proof of publication?
Chairwoman Thatcher, yes, we have proof of publication. They're attached to the bid packets.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. Starting with number 1, communication number 2025-500. Angie Mulliken, Public Works Budget Manager, requesting Council of Commissioners to schedule a bid opening on November 19th, 2025 for Silver Lake Industrial Water System Improvements Project. Director Neary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 2 bids for the Silver Lake project. The first bid is from Swank out of Missoula. Sorry.
We have a bid bond in the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the total lump sum is $2,563,390. $2,563,390.
Reading this back to you, the bid for Swank is $2,563,390.
Yes.
Okay.
The second bid is from Slutton from Great Falls.
We have a bid bond amount of 10% of the total amount bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. Director Neary?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the total lump sum is $3,636,000 even. $3,636,000.
The total bid for Slatton Construction is $3,636,000 even.
Yes.
Thank you, Director Neary. Commissioner Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I would make a motion to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation.
A motion's been made and seconded to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation. Would commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to number 2, communication number 2025-536. Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners to schedule a bid opening on November 19th, 2025 for one new skip loader for the Butte-Silver Public Works Roads Department. County Attorney Enruth did say for all of them, is that correct, County Attorney Enruth?
Chairwoman Thatcher, yes, we have publication for this one as well.
Thank you. Public Works Director Neary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looks like we have 3 bids for the skip loader. The first one is from RDO out of Bozeman.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond amount and the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the total lump sum is $138,000. $138,000 even.
The total for RDO equipment is $138,000. Okay.
The second bid is from Torgerson's Equipment out of Belgrade.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond amount and the amount of 10% of the overall bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the lump sum total for this is $131,520. $131,520.
The total amount for Torgerson's equipment out of Belgrade is $131,520.
Yes.
Okay.
Next bid is from Western States Equipment out of Missoula.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you. County Attorney Enroth, Director Neary.
Madam Chair, the total lump sum is 146,000 even. 146,000.
Thank you, Director Neary. The total for Western States Equipment Company is $146,000.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I would make a motion to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation.
Motion's been made and seconded to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation. Is there anything on the question? Would commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Number 3, communication number 2025-537, Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners to schedule a bid opening on November 19th, 2025 for one new 5-yard single-axle dump truck for the Butte-Silver Public Works Water Department. County Attorney Enroth, is there proof of publication on this one?
Chairwoman Thatcher, yes, there's proof of publication.
Thank you. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, we have 3 bids for the 5-yard dump truck. The first one is from TransSource. It's out of Phoenix. This is TransSource 1. It'd be right. Yeah.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond in the amount of 10% of the overall bid.
Thank you. County Attorney Enroth. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, the total price on this truck is $136,484.06. $136,484.06.
For TransSource number 1, it's $136,484.06.
The second bid is from TransSource 2 from Phoenix, Arizona. TransSource, their number 2 bid from Phoenix, Arizona.
Thank you.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond in the amount of 10% of the overall bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enroth. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the lump sum total is $147,256.32. $147,256.32.
The number for TransSource number 2 is $147,256.32.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next bid is from I-State Truck Center. I think it's out of Missoula.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the overall bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enroth. Director Neary.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the total lump sum is $139,799. $139,799.
The total amount for I-State Truck Center is $139,799.
Yes.
Perfect. Is there anything, any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Thatcher. Director Neary, could you tell us the difference between Transource 1 and 2? I imagine it's a model of truck will supply.
Director Neary?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Anderson, yes, it's two different trucks. It must sell two different brands.
Okay. Did it state what brand was which on those two bids?
The first one was a Mack. Oh. Both Mack trucks. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is, but there must be. I can, when I come back with my recommendation, I can let you know.
Thank you.
Commissioner Callahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Neary, sorry, I was going to call you prior to this. I got busy, never caught up with you. In the past, we've always had these single axle trucks with the low bed, and they haul this is for hauling the mud and stuff from when we fix water leaks.
Yes.
So the loads are wet and muddy, and
Yes.
usually you could follow the trail from the old crusher all the way to where the leak was, because it leaked water all the way in mud, and you could just follow the trail. I was curious if we're still using that type of bed, or did we get it with a bed like we use for our solids for Metro Sewer?
Director Neary?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Callahan, it does come with the high box for soils with that, but you can't stop the water from coming out of these ones. And we like you to know where the leaks were. Transparency, we're all about.
Do any other commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'll make a motion to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation.
A motion's been made and seconded to refer these bids back to Public Works with a recommendation back to council. Is there anything on the question? Would commissioners please vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to number 4. Mr. Neary was busy this week. Communication number 2025-538. Mark Neary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners to schedule a bid opening on November 19th, 2025 for one new 3 to 4 cubic yard wheel loader for Butte-Silver Public Works Water Department. County Attorney Enrith, is there proof of publication?
Chairwoman Thatcher, yes, we approve publication.
Thank you, County Attorney Enrith. Director Neary?
Madam Chair, it looks like we have 5 bids. The first one is from RDO out of Bozeman. Where it's supposed to be.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enrith. Director Neary?
Madam Chair, the lump sum price on this is $248,000 even.
The number for our RDO equipment is $248,000.
This would be a John Deere loader.
Excuse me, what?
This would be a John Deere loader.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The second bid is from Transource Truck and Equipment out of Belgrade.
Chairwoman Thatcher, we have a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the overall bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enright. Director Neri?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the lump sum for this loader is $277,936. $277,936.
Dollar amount for Transource truck and equipment is $277,936.
Yes. Madam Chair, the next bid is from Bobcat of Helena, out of Helena.
Madam Chair, we have a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enright. Director Neri?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the lump sum for this loader is $272,235. $272,235.
The dollar amount for Bobcat of Helena is $272,235.
The next bid is from Torgerson's out of Belgrade.
Madam Chair, we have a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enright. Director Neri?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the lump sum is $268,344 even. $268,344.
The dollar amount for Torgerson's equipment is $268,344.
Yes. The final bid tonight is from Western States out of Missoula.
Chairwoman Thatcher, there's a bid bond amount in the amount of 10% of the bid.
Thank you, County Attorney Enright. Director Neri?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, the lump sum for this loader is $264,000 even.
The dollar amount for Western States equipment is $264,000 even. Do any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I will make a motion to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation.
A motion's been made and seconded to refer these bids back to Public Works for their review and recommendation. Is there anything on the question? Would commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on, thank you, Director Neri. Moving on to public hearings. This evening we have two. County Attorney Enruth, is there proof of publication for the public hearings?
Madam Chair, yes, we have proof of publication for both of the public hearings that are on for tonight.
Thank you very much. Number 5, communication number 2025-519. Jessica LaProuse, Law Enforcement Budget Analyst, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing for November 19th, 2025, for the purpose of amending the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget to allow for increased expenditures of unanticipated revenue for gas masks provided to the Butte-Silver Law Enforcement Agency, a donation from Town Pump. Sheriff Lester.
Madam Chair, thank you. My name's Ed Lester. I'm Butte-Silver Sheriff. This is the time set aside for a public hearing regarding authorization to expend unanticipated revenues for gas masks for our tactical team based on donation from Town Pump. They wanted to donate $7,000 toward the purchase of new chemical agent masks for our department. Our current masks are about somewhere between 16 and 20 years old. They are functional, but as you can see, that tremendous advances have been made in the last 16 years so in filtering and fit. So this would just allow us to have state-of-the-art masks should we need chemical agents or irritants or something that we would introduce into a tactical situation. And the Town Pump has graciously donated $7,000 toward the masks.
Thank you, Sheriff Lester. Do any commissioners have any questions? Sheriff Lester, what happens to the old masks? Do you keep them? Do you donate them?
Yeah, they're still functional, so we would keep them in the event of some kind of crazy incident, but they'll probably be in the armory until long after I'm retired.
Okay, sounds good. If no commissioners have any questions, I'm going to open the public hearing. First call for proponents. Proponents, first call. Please state your name and record for the address. For the record.
Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue, Butte, Montana. I am a proponent of this. Stockpiling equipment is always good to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. Second call for proponents. Second call. Third and final call for proponents. Moving to opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. We'll close the public hearing. Number 6, communication number 2025-535, Angie Mulliken, Public Works Budget Manager, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing for November 19th, 2025 for the purpose of soliciting comments on the unanticipated revenues from the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, DNRC. Mrs. Mulliken.
Thank you, Chairwoman Thatcher. This unanticipated revenue is from the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation. It's 2 grants, each for $75,000. It's for the remedial investigation and conceptual site planning for the Father Sheehan Park. Total amount of the grants is $150,000 and there is no match.
Thank you, Ms. Mulliken. Do any commissioners have any questions on this? Okay, I will open the public hearing. First call, proponents. First call, proponents.
Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue. I am in favor of making our parks better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. Second call for proponents. Second call. Third and final call for proponents. Okay, we'll move on to opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. We will close the public hearing. Moving on to presentations. Number 7, communication number 545, excuse me. Sean Frederickson, Parks and Recreation Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a presentation on November 19th, 2025 to provide an update on current operations and projects related to parks, Highland View Golf Course, and Ridge Waters Water Park. I see Parks Director Frederickson here, so the floor is yours when you're ready, Director Frederickson.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chair Thatcher. For the record, I'm Sean Frederickson, Parks and Recreation Director for Butte-Silver. Just want to thank you for the opportunity to present on parks. Per our charter, the Parks Department is required to give this body an update annually, so here I am. So we'll move into some notable projects that we've completed this year. If you remember last year, I presented on the Clark Park gazebos. Those have been repainted. And then we were able to squeeze in the Father Sheehan Park Pavilion. If you've been down there, it looks really good. According to ex-Commissioner Joe Lee, it was painted by him probably 30 years ago, so it really needed it. That project turned out really, really nice. Some of the other notable projects that we've completed is the head frame lighting. That's the Lexington head frame right there. All of the head frames have been lit up, and that was, of course, provided by donations from Town Pump, Montana Resources, Main Street, Uptown Butte. So there's one head frame that's not lit up. That's the Bell Diamond. I'm not really sure what's in the works to light up one. I know that they would like to, but there's some radio equipment up there, so they need to work out those details. We moved dinner in the park from Emma Park to Stodden. That was really a popular a night, and I think we'll probably do that again. We still are planning on doing lunch in the park at Emma Park, and that's all ran by the Butte Parks and Trails Foundation in cooperation with the Parks Department. And then the last project that we just completed at the end of the year was Skyline Park. We did some bridge upgrades to the end of the trail. We'll now be able to get back there to plow that trail, and we did some other work within that park. Along with Skyline, we added new parking lot lights, the trail work, and some tree planting. We're looking at getting water into the dog park. That was one of the requests that Commissioner Shea and I met with some of the folks that use that dog park every day. And that was one of their requests, was to get water into the actual dog park. We're working with our water division to make that happen, and we just kind of ran out of time, but that'll hopefully start at the beginning of the year. Other future projects that we have are to highlight on 2025. There's added trails to Big Butte Open Space Park. That was provided by SARTA funding. And then we added 2 new pickleball courts at Stodden Park. We now have a total of 6 there. The Pickleball Association, there's a new pickleball association they organized, and we've been working with them quite a bit on what they want to do. Some future projects. We applied for a grant for new playground equipment at Clark Park. We're still waiting to hear back from that, but we're hopeful that we would get that. That would be a $40,000 upgrade to the small children's toddler playground at Clark. That's like the ages from 2 to 6 or 7. We're looking to do some stormwater improvements down at Father Sheehan Park. You can see that photo. We've had issues with stormwater in that park since it's been a park. And then we're looking at improvements to Basin Creek Park, and we're hopeful that we'll be able to announce a grant to that, and we would start to really improve that park. We still have a lot of work. The dam just got complete, but there's a lot of logging that's still going on. They're going to start logging up there tomorrow or Friday. So once that kind of gets wrapped up, we're going to start fixing up that park and really making it nice again. So here's some of the numbers that I kind of wanted to share. We had 255 pavilion reservations. Of course, our pavilions are first come, first serve unless they're reserved. We have an online reservation system. Generally, it's $25 for in 4-hour increments, so 10 to 2, 2 to 6, 6 to 10. So we had 255 folks make reservations at our pavilions. That's up from 11 from 2024. So those numbers continue to rise, and then fitness classes, we had 76 fitness classes this year, and compared to 58 in 2024. And so that's a plus 18. And as I get into this numbers, I probably should have, before I talked, when the commissioners get the performance budgets, those numbers are going to be different from what I'm presenting to you right now. So I just wanted to make that clear. When you're looking through your performance booklet, these numbers are going to be different because that's on the fiscal year. So those numbers that we provided to the Budget and Finance Office was from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. These numbers that I'm presenting right now are 2025 season. So this is when the first pavilion was rented in April, and compared to September is generally when we last start to see our last reservations. Oh, special events, that's 24. I don't know why it looks like that. And oddly enough, we had 24 special event permits go through the Parks Department, 24 in 2025, 24 in 2024. So on to Ridgewaters. We had a pretty good season at Ridgewaters. We had a lot of weather. We had to close for a week because of the control panel going out. So some of our numbers are down, but overall admissions were up. We had 32,579 admissions go through on 2025. That's compared to 32,071 for 508 more folks that went through the water park from June. Water park closes around August 20th because the kids start going to school. So overall, even with the weather and it being closed for a week, admissions were still up. The lap swim, river walk, and water aerobics, we added water aerobics this year. That was 15 water aerobics classes. That continues to see an uptick of 1,313 people. The lap swim starts at 9 and goes from 9 to 11, and then the water park opens generally at noon. So that continues to see great numbers. And then deck admissions, that's $2 if you're going to go into the water park and not swim. So I don't know why those numbers are down, and then adult admissions is the same. Cabana rentals. So we started an online submission this year, and it took a little bit of time for the public to get it figured out. But towards the end of the year, they had it figured out. It's the same system. You go onto our website. You can reserve your cabana long before. I think we do 2 or 3 weeks out. I can't remember the exact number, 15 days or something. And so you can go in and reserve your cabana beforehand, before you would call at 11 o'clock before it opened. It was really hard on staff. It was really unorganized. So I think the overall consensus is that's a better system. We did have 23 cabana rentals that were down. We changed that system also on the cabana, so it's $50 for each session, and then there's an option for a pizza party where you get 3 pizzas and soda and 10 admissions. So that continues to be booked out, but we did have to give some refunds on the cabanas because of weather. We had a lot of lightning this year and rain, but this year pretzels were up. Last year pretzels were down, up by 101. And then on the flip side, Hot dogs sold were down by quite a bit. If this commission will remember, you approved a new pizza oven last year. That really helped concession staff, and had the ability to have better pizzas. It takes them 7 minutes to cook compared to the old system, which was 20 minutes. And now we're able to sell slices. So pizzas sold were down compared to 2024, but we sold 1,959 slices of pizza. So I think pizzas sold were down because people have the option to buy a slice rather than a whole pizza. And in turn, people aren't buying as many hot dogs. Swim scholarships, we continue to see swim scholarships. The need for swim scholarships, we gave 152. That's income-based to underprivileged families. We had 7 more passes, and that's a total of $18,240. The swim scholarships, if the kids qualifies for the scholarship, they get two a week. And so that continues to rise of the request for swim scholarships. We're always looking for scholarship or donations into that. That's the scholarship fund. The Rotary makes a very good donation. I know that this council has the option to give a donation. So I said that last year, but I'll say it again this year. So Highland View Golf Course. I have Keith Oglin here. He's the manager at Highland View Golf Course. He did a phenomenal job. This is his second season, full season at the golf course, and he did another incredible job. But just before we get into it, I just want to address the water and the gallons that was during public comment. So I don't know exactly how many gallons we do use at the golf course, but the golf course is all ran off of wells. There's 2 wells that fill that pond. So it's not coming from Basin Creek, Moulton, or the Big Hole. It's not potable water. But I don't know exactly off the top of my head how much it uses. And I don't even know if it's probably not even metered, would be my guess. But and just on that other note, the irrigation system is a newer irrigation system that was installed 5 or 6 years ago. So it's about as efficient as we can get it. Numbers all across the board at Highland View Golf Course were great. Carts. The golf course number, or the carts numbers were up by quite a bit. Let me see here. $14,000 on the golf course. That's trails fees, cart storage, single cart, couple cart, daily trails fee, 18 holes, 9 holes. So that's how much revenue we bring in on just the carts. Simulator continued to rise by another $7,000. Simulator continues to be popular. The league filled up, the Winter League filled up pretty much immediately. And then concessions were down a little bit. Ooh, I got that screwed up. I think concessions were actually up. So that the 2024 should be 2025, so I apologize for that. Concessions were up by about $500. Overall revenue on the golf course, 8 to 10% from 2024. All rentals, pass holders, all increased. Simulator was up. Pro shop sales were up. And the only decline that we saw was beer and wine. And if you have any questions, greens fees were up by quite a bit compared to 2024. Overall, the golf course is a really popular place and a great thing for our community. We have over 400 pass holders. It's hard to get a tee time most of the time. And so that's all I have for right now. One slide that I thought I put in here, as far as what sales were down within the concessions, they were down $53,000 from 2024. And the reason for the decline in concessions at Ridgewaters was, well, the week that we were closed and all of the rain delays and closures that we had to do for weather. On average, we bring in when the water park's fully functional, we bring in around $35,000 a week. So that 53,000 kind of aligns with what our average concession sales are. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Director Frederickson. Do any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Fisher?
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate all you do. I think things are going real well with the golf course and the Ridgewaters and things like that. It seems to be going good. I do have a question that is kind of off of this report a little bit. With the grants that are going into Father Sheehan Park, I have a lot of people questioning, how that money's being spent. And I know it's kind of off the bubble a little bit, but some are worried that they might be losing the ball field. They're concerned about registration of team members and teams. I'm sure you've heard all this before. It just comes through me a little bit, and I told them I'd bring it up, and I'm sure you can address it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, Commissioner Fisher, or Chairman.
Director
Chair
Frederick,
Thatcher,
yeah, you're good.
Commissioner Fisher. No, thank you for that question. Yeah, I've certainly heard a few different rumors out there. There are no plans to relocate any ball fields. There's no, we're still finalizing awards for Father Sheehan Park. Nothing's official, but there's no plans to relocate ball fields. There's no money to relocate ball fields. There's no, yeah, we don't have any. If we were to get this money for the stormwater, we would need a plan. Well, I think that we probably do need more ball fields. I just got a request today for a group that wants to have a traveling baseball tournament, and they want to use 11 of the fields, which is all of our fields. So we're not looking to take away any sort of fields, and we don't have anywhere to put said fields. So.
Follow-up, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. Thank you, Sean. I'll call you Sean. We've been friends for
That's okay.
So, yeah, and they're talking about things that kind of gets off a little bit about registration and how the Park and Rec interacts with apparently the Little League Association over there, whatever it is. So I appreciate your answers to the question and look forward to a prosperous future. Thank you.
Yeah, and just Commissioner,
Yeah,
or,
Director
Chair
Frederickson.
Thatcher, if you don't mind. Right now, our Little Leagues don't pay any sort of registration fee into the Parks and Rec Department. We're in constant communication with Mile High Little League and Northwest Little League and the Legion, Copper City Softball. We have really good relationships with all of them, but we don't charge any sort of fee to any of the Little Leagues, which is a whole nother discussion that we won't go into right now. But the relationships are all great, and anything that's going to happen down at Father Sheehan, if it happens, will come to this body very first and foremost, and Mile High Little League will be definitely a part of that conversation on what we do.
Thank you, Director Frederickson. Commissioner Healy?
This is for Father Sheen as well, concerns. This is based on the, I wrote myself some notes, so let me find. On August 11th, this has to do with the slideshow that WET did, and I have the slideshow here. So the question is also regarding the tennis court. Is the tennis court going to be eliminated permanently, or is that going to be fixed?
Chair
Director
Thatcher.
Frederickson?
Yeah, Chair Thatcher, Commissioner Healy. The tennis court, so from some of the analysis that we've done, the tennis court is in the middle of the floodplain at Father Sheehan. The last time they upgraded the tennis court, I don't know, I wish Chief Executive Gallagher was here, because I think he was the Parks Director. It was quite a lot of money. To even resurface a tennis court, when we looked into it at Whittier with the school district, it was like $100,000. So to answer your question, the tennis courts are coming out. It'd become a safety hazard with the fence. The fence is already down, and then our road division is gonna come in and take out the tennis court. That being said, we're looking at options on if we can resurface the tennis courts up at West Elementary, which are Butte-Silver rows. The tennis courts at Whittier are the school districts. So yeah, we are looking at all of our options. But we've decided to not put more money into the tennis courts if they're just going to become destroyed in a few years. The ground is just not stable, and so I don't know, I just hate to throw money that we don't have a lot of money. We want to respect the taxpayers' money, and we don't want to put money into things that aren't going to be.
I guess the question was, are you going to put it somewhere else, or could it be placed somewhere else?
Dr. Frederickson?
Yeah, Chair Thatcher, Commissioner Healy, we would love to put in more tennis courts, and but it all comes down to finding the money to build them.
Thank you, Director Frederickson.
Yeah.
Follow-up, Commissioner Healy?
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. This is also from the slideshow that was presented, showing that there's going to be several large-size ponds that are going to be in Father Sheehan Park now, and so that's where the concern about losing some of the ball fields are, because they're also asking if they're going to be eliminating the batting cages, the concession building. They didn't see that on the slideshow. It looked like they were eliminated because of the ponds that are going to be put in place to, hold some of the water. So ball fields, buildings, batting cages were not shown on the slideshow.
Director
Chair
Frederickson?
Thatcher,
So
Commissioner Healy,
eliminated.
I think you're referring to the slideshow that we presented to the Western Montana Conservation Corps, just so everyone else knows. So that was when we were applying for that grant. We went in front of that commission. Everything that was in that slideshow was just conceptual, and nothing has gone to design. We haven't been awarded any money. And so that was just a rendering of what we were showing to the commission on stormwater. So it was, I would almost say it was just like a generic plan at that point on what it was. But like I said on Commissioner Fisher's question, there are no plans to remove anything at Father Sheehan as far as fields or I think that in the perfect world, it would be, there would be some collection ponds to take some of that field. This is how I envision it. I'm not an engineer, but how I envision it and talking to the smart folks, if we can get that water that's coming off of Edwards into the park, I think there was 14 different points of entry from Father Sheehan that are coming from the neighborhoods, my neighborhood included, where I grew up. And so that, if we can take that water, move it away from the fields, and place it into an area where it goes into the pond and then into the creek, is the overall goal if this project happens. It's not to remove fields, it's to actually take water away from the fields, so they're not constantly maintaining them. But there are no plans, and I will repeat, if anything that's going to happen down at Father Sheehan will be coming here first, and Mile High Little League will be definitely a part of that conversation, 100%.
Thank you, Director
Yep.
Frederickson.
Thank you, Director Frederickson. Commissioner O'Leary, did you have a question?
Thank you, Chair Thatcher. Thanks again for the presentation. This is good. I had a couple notes that I just wanted to talk about. good to hear more investment in the Basin Creek Park. It's the only park in my district, and appreciate that. At some point, I'd still like to go out there and walk through the park with you.
Yeah.
I didn't see any mention of Rock Park. I know that there was a bunch of ongoing work up there. Wondering if that all got finished and where that project is at.
Director Frederickson.
Chair Thatcher, Commissioner O'Leary, yes, thank you for the comment on Basin Creek, and I'll leave that as an invitation to any of the commissioners if you ever want to go looking at parks, or I would love to spend an afternoon walking in parks. To answer your question on Rock Park, we did have some challenges with Rock Park. That was and this is before some of you were on here, when we were on the commission, we awarded, the 4 Cs came in with money wanting to build an interpretive park. The original request was down at the Civic Center. This commission said no, that wasn't an appropriate location for this type of interactive park. It was agreed to go to Rock Park. That project was through the 4 Cs. And so they're the ones that hired the contractor. They're the ones that paid the contractor. And really, the Parks Department didn't have a whole lot of communication with that contractor. The contractor didn't finish what they were supposed to do, and it was left as a mess for quite a few times. Our crews tried to go in there and tidy it up the best we could, but we also didn't feel that we should let the contractor off the hook. So that project went way longer than it should have. The project is complete, and we will be reseeding and looking at the irrigation, and hopefully the irrigation's still working, and we'll be able to reseed it and start growing there. The plan will be to make it a little bit more accessible with the bus stop there, add crosswalks so people can, because the whole idea when the 4 Cs came and to refresh our memories was they wanted it close to a bus stop. So as folks are waiting for the bus, their kids can play. And that's the original idea of why it was supposed to be, why they wanted it down at the Civic Center. So the bus stop is really an important part of that piece and the overall spirit of that project. So next year we'll be making that a little bit more walkable, crosswalks, and I don't know if we'll actually have a bus stop, but benches and that sort of thing.
Follow-up, Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chair Thatcher. And one last appreciate the answer on that. One last comment. I know there was a question about the golf course and water. It's my understanding that we're installing a water line from the metro area over to the park to use Silver Lake water. Can you just give us a quick rundown about that?
Chair Thatcher.
Director Frederickson.
Commissioner O'Leary. Yeah, so that water line has been installed, but it's the reclaimed water from the wastewater treatment plant. So it's the effluent water that can be piped in there and then into the pond, and then we can irrigate with that. So we would have the wells, the water coming from Metro that's reclaimed and safe, or we could, I mean, it's my understanding, and Commissioner, or Director Neary, knows more about that project, but the way they installed it, we have the option for all three. I mean, I think we'll probably just stick to the wells until we actually need that water, but I guess overall it's a great project because we can, we can turn it on and off and use whichever one we want. But I can't anticipate we're going to be using Silver Lake water unless, yeah. We have many options, which is good.
Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Sean, for giving us the option to come and hear how the parks and everything's going. I got a question for you about an incident that happened back in August. Montana Tech had their orientation of all the freshmen, and they normally go to school a week before the rest of the classes. And the first week of school, they do all kinds of events and activities for them to get them familiar with the campus and everything. And one of the events was they all hiked up to the Big M. They had several hundred students. It was their largest freshman class, in the school's history. And they got up there and they couldn't get in. The kids were told that, once you get up there, we'll have refreshments and beverages and stuff for you and whatever. And they called. They spent 2 hours calling every number in the Park and Rec department. No answer. Then they finally had the residence life provost call the chief executive, and that's when they finally got somebody to come and open the gate. You and I had a discussion about this back in probably April, and I had mentioned to you that I'd gone up there numerous times and the gates was locked, and you told me it wasn't going to be unlocked. Can you explain that? Who made that decision and why we're doing this?
Director Frederickson.
Yeah, Chair Thatcher, Commissioner Callahan. I'm not sure about not getting a hold of us. Once we did get the phone call, I went up and unlocked it, gave them my number, and I gave them my cell number. And so I guess it was just a communication. But safety is utmost important in my mind, and I decided that gate should be locked. We have quite a few issues at the Big Butte. We have to have someone go up there and clean it every single day. The only day it doesn't get cleaned is on Sunday because we don't have anyone working. We placed a garbage can up there. You lift the garbage can up right now, and it's probably empty. We don't really have the manpower to clean that spot, and so I was the one that made the decision to close it. As far as I know, it was locked last year also. And after speaking with Chief Executive Gallagher, who was the one that had that gate installed, he said to me that he rarely had it open. So I think that this has been closed for the most part for the last few years. We did have another incident up there a few months ago. A intoxicated individual ran through the gate, tried to get through the gate. He didn't run into it like he was driving. He purposely took out the gate. The gate is still out of commission. It's going to cost $17,000 to fix. He was trying to get up to that spot at the M, and it was 4:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday. So this wasn't at night. This was in the middle of the day on a weekend. Law enforcement found him pretty much immediately. I'm not sure where that case is, but I guess my point is it's a small area. There's no fencing. There's no curbing. You get about 3 vehicles up there, and you'll have to back all the way down. The trail is accessible from 2 spots to get up to the M, around the back, or you can walk up the road. So we're not keeping people out of there. I feel it's unsafe to have vehicles up there in the middle of the day. I'm worried that there's nothing preventing someone from the houses down below. And it's a great view, and you can go up there and you could ride your bike up there, you can walk up there. Heck, if you really want to drive up there, call me and we will open it and we will let you up there. And I said the same thing to the folks at Montana Tech. I said, here's my cell phone number. Next time you plan this, call me and we will have it open for you. So and they were fine with that, and everything went well. So.
Thank you. Follow up, Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I will disagree with you because that has always been opened. And the agreement was, and it was back when you were on the council, and I believe you were probably the vice chair at the time, when when Mr. Gallagher came to the council because they were having some issues up there, and we agreed as a council that they could put that gate up, because that is open parks, that's open lands park. And that road's been up there since long before you and I or our parents. And when you're talking, we're worried about this and worried about that, go back and check the records. None of those people have had any issues with anything happening to their homes and things like that. They've gone up and maintained that road. They put a berm there. You don't need a fence. They go up there and do the fireworks every year. And when they came to the council to get that done, we agreed that that could be still opened, and you would open and close it like the rest of the parks. And you and I had a discussion back in April when I questioned you on it, and you said, I made the decision, it's not going to be done. I said, we did a resolution when they asked to put that in. And I have talked to other commissioners that were here, and they remember that. And I believe at the time you were the vice chair. So if that resolution didn't get done, maybe we need to look into why it didn't get done. And the comments on, we have nothing but trouble. You haven't had any of that trouble up there. That's on the lower part. And that's a police problem. They need to get some police officers up there and take care of the problems up there. But to lock people out that aren't able to walk up there, that's quite a walk. And that's one of the best views of our whole community. So to turn around and use that as an excuse to keep the gate locked just isn't acceptable to me. And like I said, Montana Tech uses that a lot. And with the incident they had that day, they were furious. I mean, they actually called the chief executive, and that's how they got a hold of you. And I was talking to them today at a staff senate meeting, and she said they tried for 2 hours. They called every number on your website, and they couldn't get anybody to answer the phone.
Director Frederickson, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Chair Thatcher, Commissioner Callahan, after our conversations, I looked for resolutions, I looked for anything, and I did not see anything. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Follow-up, Commissioner Callahan.
I got one more comment. 2 years ago, Montana Tech did a reconstruction on Park Street for the tunnels. There was a group of people up there that they had to take the statue down, the Marcus Staley statue. There was a group of people that wanted to do some restoration of the statue, clean it up. So we had visited with Aubrey and the girls up at the archives. We had visited with the Historic Preservation, Kate McCourt, and the mining department was the one that took the statue and stored it while it was down. So we were getting everything ready. They researched it to make sure what it was made of so we didn't do any damage to the statue, and they cleaned it up and everything. And they were told that Butte-Silver Bow owns the statue, that they couldn't do anything to without Butte-Silver Bow's permission. So Aubrey and they were supposedly asking GP for that, and the construction company was ready to put it back up, and we were ready to get the work done before they had to put it up. Only makes sense to do it while it's down. And the facilities director got an email from you saying, do not touch the statue, we will take care of that. So he forwarded the email to me, so we didn't do nothing to it. That was 1.5 years ago, and there's been nothing done to the statue.
Director Frederickson, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Chair Thatcher, Commissioner Callahan, yeah, you're exactly right. We were, sorry, well, I kind of forgot about that, but yeah, I'll work with, I'll talk with Aubrey or Director Japp, and we'll see if we can get it clean. Yeah, I apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do any other commissioners have any questions, comments? Commissioner Shea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple comments. I've had the pleasure of sitting on the Parks and Rec Board for the last about a year, and I'm consistently impressed by the work that gets done at Highlands and at Ridgewaters. We mostly talk about that, but also in the other parks. I know that there's a lot of open space in Butte, and we don't have a ton of money. There always more money would be great and more staff, but I think we do pretty good with the staff that we have. And I can just say from the Parks and Rec Board standpoint, we do look for ways to provide more accessibility and make improvements where we can and where we can afford them. And hopefully you feel supported by the board.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mankins.
Thank you, Chairwoman Thatcher, and thank you, Director Frederickson, for coming here and presenting on the Parks and Recs and the Highland View Golf Course. I also want to do a thank you to Keith Oglin. It seems like Butte-Silver Bowl has entrusted yourself, Director Frederickson, with some money, and we've continued to promote and put some investment into parks and to the golf course and different parks, not only at Stodden Park, but then into the golf course. And the people that we have sitting in front of us have done a phenomenal job. From the numbers, we always are critical of different things throughout, that what isn't there, but looking at the positive when we invest in something, and then we put the right people in the place to make sure that they are managed and at a really top-notch product that we have out there. We hear it more and more with the golf course and with the Highlands and the Stodden Park, that how many people come here from out of town. So the more investment, and looking back at Father Scene, the vision is there, and like Director Frederickson said, in the parks, nothing's going to be done without this approval of the commission. So what we've invested in and what we've approved and what we've liked, the same thing is going to come alight when that vision, and I would say probably the money is there. Yeah. But I thank Mr. Oglin and Director Frederickson on what they've done to this point in the last few years. So it's very much appreciative, and everybody should be appreciative. And I think on a personal note, with these two, with the golf, I coach golf at Butte High School and junior, and the way that it has prospered in our community from these two gentlemen here allowing the junior programs. It is a wonderful sport, and it's people think it's not affordable, but our county makes it affordable for the youth. So kudos to you guys so much. Very much appreciative. So thank you for both of you, what you've done. Yeah. So I appreciate you both.
Commissioner Mankins, appreciate that.
Any other commissioners have any comments? I just have two quick ones. I wasn't able to make it to the pool, which is why I think you're down 11 pizzas. That makes complete sense to me. And then the only other thing is that I think you guys do a great job. I love hanging out at Stodden. I hit the links a couple of times, which was embarrassing. I'm sure Keith saw, but it's something to admire. You guys give our community something to admire, like Commissioner Mankin said, and it's they're wonderful places for even outside, out-of-town people to come into. So just thank you very much for that, and for both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Here we go. Section 2, consent agenda. Are there any friendly amendments or segregations? Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chair Thatcher. I'd like to segregate communication number 24, 2025-570.
5-570. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. I would like to segregate number 14, 25-560.
2025.
Number 25, 560.
Okay. Any other friendly amendments or segregations? Seeing none, Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda A, committee reports 1 through 4, and B, communications 1 through, it feels like 500, 1 through 27, with the exceptions of number 14, 2025-560, and 24, 2025-570.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Or is there any, or do commissioners have any questions? Would commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
10 yea, 0 nay.
10 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. We're going to jump to number 14. Communication number 2025-560, Kate McCourt, Historic Preservation Officer, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to have Chief Executive Gallagher sign an agreement for Basin Creek Caretaker's House wastewater construction administration. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. You've opened the door once again. As you know, this Basin Creek House has been on the agenda numerous times. I've been on the commission 13 years. This has come up 12 of the 13 years probably. You know, this was back when JP was park director. So now I see we want to get a survey from WET, which I have no problem with. Get to see where the drain field's at, see how the, you know, the septic system is going to work. But the thing about it is I just want to remind everyone that we're probably in that house with everything we've done, well over 500,000, probably approaching $1 million of different grants and different things that we've done and everything. So I went out there and took pictures of it, and anybody wants to see them, here they are. It looks the same way it did 10 years ago, except for now they tell me there's windows behind the boarded up windows that somebody we paid put in. Then we paid somebody to do some other stuff there, and the fence is still the same. It's been the same fence. It's been there for 10, 12, 15 years, whatever it's been. So, I mean, we talk about financial, you know, stuff and conservativeness. Whether it's grant money from the federal government, the state government, or local government, we all pay it. And I mean, I can see spending money, but this isn't even in the historical district. You know, we got 2 demolitions on the agenda tonight. We're paying $5,800 out of a fund that my good friend, former Commissioner John Reardon, got set up to demolition buildings. So we're giving one person $5,800, another $3,800 to tear down a couple of buildings. But yet we keep feeding notes to a dead horse out here. When is this going to stop? Or when are we going to do something with that building? We've got one now out at the Big Hole, you know, out at the Big Hole. No one wants to rent. No one's living there. We're paying an exterminator out there to keep the rats out of it. You know, we got to start thinking better about what we're doing with these things. And I mean, the Basin Creek Reservoir, when we were all kids, it was a great place to be. It's not a great place to be anymore. I seen the logging trucks go out there today, which somebody referenced, it might have been Director Fredrickson. I seen the logging trucks go out there today to still cut timber. But if you've been out there, they got the most beautiful piles of firewood so up on the mountain, you can't believe it. But the lawn's in terrible condition, the trees are rotten, the house looks terrible. I mean, I'm just going to get on my grandstand and, you know, let this go again. But when are we going to do something with it or make the decision to chop its head off? One of the two. We should either fix it or chop its head off. We can't keep going like we're going right now. So we're going to have a vote on it tonight, and I'm sure it's going to pass. But I, for once, will be going red once again. Thank you. There's the pictures.
Do any other commissioners? Commissioner Callahan.
I certainly would like to, Madam Chair. I certainly haven't been on the commission quite as long as you, Mr. Fisher, but I've been here a good long time myself. And you heard Mr. Fredrickson say that they got grant money to bring that park back up to what it was years ago. When that park was out there, even when we had the Columbia Gardens, that was the second most used park in the whole city of Butte. That was a very good park. The water company, or the Anaconda Company owned it. They had people, caretakers in the houses. They took care of it. What happened was when the water company sold, the houses were vacant. That house out there hasn't got anywhere near $1 million spent to it. It hasn't got anywhere near $500,000 spent on it. But even if it did, why would you walk away from that if it's that close to being somebody living in it? The whole goal since I've been on this council is to have somebody in that house to take care of the park. You heard Mr. Fredrickson say how the kids vandalize stuff. Well, if somebody's out there, they can call the cops and take care of the problem. You tear the house down, why would we have a park that far out? That's just another place for them to go to cause their trouble. So I have to disagree with you. And I've done tons of volunteer work on that house. That house is in very, very good shape. The kids did go out and do a lot of vandalism on it. That's all been repaired. They just have to, in order to be able to use it again, they have to get the septic system and the well and stuff back up. And I'm assuming they have to put the well back in, but originally it was off of the water company water. So I just wanted to make that comment to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. I respect what you're saying. It's just the time frame that we're going through. You know, it's been a long time. And the thing is, we got another house out there that somebody's living in. They're supposed to be taking care of it. I don't know if anyone's living in that other house up there that's on the side of the hill or not anymore. There was someone living there that worked at Metro, the water company. And I'm not going to discuss this issue anymore because I've been on my grandstand enough about this place, and it's a minute issue to me anymore. But I mean, only government would do something like this. Private entity would never do something like this.
Commissioner O'Leary?
Thanks, Chair Thatcher. I guess I generally agree with you. I think we should finish the project and do something with it. It has been far too many years. This is my district. I love that park. It's a fantastic place. I think that park is an integral part of what makes that park so great. So I'd really hate to see it ever get torn down. But you know, maybe next year in our budget we should put some money aside to actually finish the project. Thanks.
Thank you. And I guess I'll just offer my opinion on this. I understand that you say to either fix it or tear it down, but obviously that's a process we're working towards, is fixing it. And so I think it'd be silly to do anything but fix it now. And I understand the frustration when it comes from grant money, because that is taxpayer money. But in my opinion, if it's federal money, state money, you know, somebody's going to apply for that. It's going to get spent one way or another. So why not let it be us? And why not let it be our community and our citizens reaping that benefit? So that's my little stance on that. If there are no, Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The power of Fisher getting the bathrooms done. Next year in the budget, we're going to motivate you. We're going to get, you know, 800 grand in this thing and get this thing rocking. We're going to change your whole thing around, Fish, and we're going to get this thing back to what it used to be. Well, I'll talk to you after. But
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Commissioner Shea.
I will make a motion to concur and place on file with communication number 2025-560.
A motion's been made and seconded to concur and place on file communication number 2025-560. Is there anything on the question? Would commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record your vote, or the vote.
9 yea, 1 nay.
9 yea, 1 nay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 24, communication number 2025-570. Karen Burns, Community Development Director, requesting Council of Commissioners approval of recommendation to award the RFP for sale of 305 West Mercury Street to Jeff Riggs and Keith Waring. Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chair Thatcher. The reason I segregated this is because we obviously had presentations last week, and I appreciate the presentations from the two respondents and on the Business Development Center, and I think it shows that there's continued interest in doing business in Uptown Butte. That said, I'm concerned with a couple things with this proposal to sell the building. First, the price. Earlier today, I pulled about 15 commercial sales from the last 4 years in Uptown, and these buildings range from about 11,000 square feet to 26,000 square feet. The lowest sale price per square foot was $19. That's for a building on Broadway that has one store on the main floor and it's vacant or uninhabitable on the upper floors. The highest price was $52 a square foot, and that's for a building with a restaurant on the main floor and the upstairs is vacant, gutted above. So even using the lowest number on this list, that would put the value of this building at $627,000. On the high end, it'd be $1.7 million. So the proposal here is to sell this building for $450,000, which I just think is cutting the taxpayers short. Second, my understanding is that the courthouse is currently full. Our Government Study Commission is in the middle of looking at possibly changing the structure of our government. And if we end up with a smaller full-time council, we're going to need to find 5 to 6 offices. And I'm not sure exactly where those folks will go, but this is one of the few buildings that we have that has office spaces in Uptown Butte. We also use the heck out of that boardroom over there. We just used it for the TED board meeting on Friday, and I know that it gets used for all sorts of other things, fire trainings, etc. So I just have a lot of concerns about selling this building. I just don't think it's a good idea. I think it's short-sighted. As much as I appreciate the presentations, it just is, I think, not the right decision for the council to be making at this time. So I'd like to make a motion to deny and place on file communication 2025-570.
A motion's been made and seconded to deny and place on file communication number 2025-570. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was originally I voted no, for us to put this up for sale, and I know how much we use that building. I've used it many a times for committee meetings and stuff, and I've dealt with that building for a number of years, and I really appreciate the people that put their effort and time, and I thought they had some great proposals. After their proposals last week, I thought, well, this could be good for the building. But I also agree with Mr. O'Leary, just because Mrs. Burns said that she's a poor property manager is a poor reason to try to sell a piece of property that's an asset that we should be using. So it's a tough decision both ways. I think these folks both did a great presentation, and I think they could do the building some good. But on the other hand, we already own the building. Why do we need to go invest in more places to put offices and stuff? And so, I'm gonna vote with Russ today, but I do appreciate the people, and it's a hard decision because I think they could do some good things for that building. But on the other hand, I think Butte-Silver Bow should keep the building. They put a new heating system in it. It's completely full. If we manage the building right, maybe it wouldn't be such a problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. Commissioner Fisher?
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. I wasn't here last week to hear the presentations, but I hear from the public a lot. I'm in a main thoroughfare out there and people stop. The biggest question to me that I'm getting from everyone is, why are we selling that building for $450,000 without getting an appraisal and marketing the building in a proper way rather than just doing an RFP on it? This is what I'm getting from the public. In my mind, I'd probably say sell it, let's get it back on the tax rolls. But when I hear from the public, they're telling me that it's not a good idea to sell that building the way Butte's going right now. I mean, things are booming around here, things are selling, so my constituents and many of your constituents that come and visit me tell me it's not a good idea to sell that building for $450,000. So I'm really not sure what I should do or how I should do this, but I mean, I just can't see selling a building for $450,000 that has a market value of at least 20% more, 15% more. So just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Boyle?
I don't know for sure which way to do on this either in a lot of aspects, but the one aspect I have an issue with is we voted on this how many months ago to allow the county to put up the RFP for the $450,000. Here we are again, last minute, changing the rules. We all agreed and said we put it out for that. We got the bids in for it. Those people put out their work, their effort to plan it, and the county people put out their work and effort into it. Now we're saying, no, let's change our mind again and do it. I just don't think that's fair to the general public at all. If we're going to do this, let's do it before we put off the RFPs or before we allow people to put out their quotes on buying it, not at the last minute. Why didn't this get brought up last week? Why are we waiting until this week? That's my feeling on it, and I am going to vote for the sale of it. So,
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Boyle, I agree with you on that part. It is a tough situation. We've gone through the RFP, and I don't know. Obviously, it gives us time to think about what we're going to do, and I don't know. These decisions definitely aren't easy, but I guess my feelings on this building, it is a good building with a lot of potential, and I don't want to. I'd hate to be the one that got away. I know we're not. We say we're not in the real estate business, but we truly are. We could name numbers of buildings that we do, and we have with rentals or release and so on and so forth. Others we can do a better job on, or we're doing a great job on, so on and so forth. But I do have a tough time with that number. So when we did the RFP, yeah, we did agree with it for sure. However, just because we agreed with it then doesn't make it right if we not feeling that way. So it is. I do appreciate the presentations. It would be in good hands either which way. I'll blab again later if I have anything, but thank you.
Thank you. I, of course, have a very opposite stance on this. $450,000 for a building that needs a lot of repairs. I'm not sure who toured the building, if anybody. I did. Needs a significant investment, one that frankly, I don't think the taxpayers want to put up with. So if we want to be concerned about taxpayer dollars investing into a building that is where we don't generate a whole bunch of income from out of rent, doesn't make much sense to me. To Commissioner O'Leary's point about office space, that's a huge if there. You want to say if the study commission decides to go this way. That's if the voters decide to go that way, not the study commission. The study commission can make whatever recommendation. That's if the voters decide that. So that's a big if to weigh the sale of a property on. Whether it's $450,000 or $1.2 million, in the long run, we generate that tax revenue, and I'll stand by that. Additionally, I understand that we all watched the same presentations last week. Mr. Riggs and his partner, I believe they said they paid $80,000 in taxes on the properties that they own in Uptown Butte. So, in my opinion, I would think that we would, take that under consideration and, maybe generate a longer term return than a $450,000 building that needs a significant amount of repairs. That doesn't seem like a good investment on Butte-Silver's part. And lastly, without sounding crass, the last recommendation we received from Commissioner O'Leary is still sitting out at Mammoth Park vacant and will remain so because that failed. So, thank you. Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to correct the tax dollar deal. This building does pay taxes. Every renter in that building, part of their rent is assessed for the tax that building would have taken. So, but they would be paying. So, to turn around and say that we put it back on the tax rolls, they're already paying taxes.
Thank you, Commissioner Callahan. Yes, not in the amount that we would with great improvements to the building and under a private owner. Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chair Shea. Just a couple clarifications. So there's another very similar building on Galena Street that I pulled up. It sold a couple years ago for $450,000, 18,000 square foot building. The taxes on that building are currently $8,600 a year. So I think in kind of the best case scenario, you're talking $15,000, $10,000 to $15,000 a year in taxes for this building. So it would take a considerable amount of time to make up the difference between the sale price that's being suggested here and what would we pick that up in future years, especially considering that all the tenants currently pay some marginal amount. Second, the other thing that I didn't mention before is that the communication just recommends that we approve the sale, and the original RFP for this had a lot of indications that there was going to be some stipulations on the sale about what these folks were going to do with the building. And I don't see any indication in the communication that they will be held to any particular standard in how they treat this building, what they do with it after we sell it to them, what the expectations generally are. I was kind of expecting that there would be some kind of operating agreement that would come with this, and that we would be able to review that prior to approving a sale. So again, I don't think that this is a good, I think it's a short-sighted decision to sell this building, and again, I don't think this is well considered.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Leary. Director Burns, can you touch on a little bit of Commissioner O'Leary's concern on what he just talked about? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher, members of council, Commissioner O'Leary. Yes, and so I'm sorry the communication wasn't detailed enough to explain that resolution of sale, if you were to concur tonight with the sale, we would then draft the resolution. That resolution would include all of the criteria that you just spoke about that were included in the RFP. I'm following the same process that we followed when we sold through an RFP process, 123 through 135 East Park. The resolution contained all the conditions. So that way they are completely, they're in the record, they're part of the agreement, they're part of the resolution of sale. And so those would all be included in that. And so that resolution, if this council voted to sell the building tonight, we would draft that resolution and introduce it to you at the next council meeting, and then that resolution could be discussed, things could be added, things could be changed. But that's the exact process we followed the last time we sold a piece of Butte-Silver property, and those conditions are often put in the resolution. And so that's the path I was following again. And then I also want to just remind everyone that we did had 2 professional commercial market analyses done on the building. I know that some of this body does not agree with those analyses, but we chose the midpoint of those analyses to put our RFP out, $450,000, and so that's how that price was established. 2 different professionals gave us opinions of value. We chose part of that as the value to put it out the RFP, so that was thoughtful. And I think the word short-sighted has been used a couple times, that this is a short-sighted decision. This is a very long-sighted decision. We've been talking about the possibility of selling this building for many, many years. And talking with the leaders of our administration, the budget director, the facilities director, Parks and Rec, Public Works, my office, I think it was indicated that maybe I'm not a very good property manager. Well, it's not just me. There's a team of us that manage this property, and that's why it is hard for a local government to manage a private office building. And that's what I want to remind everyone, that's how it's functioning right now with a public kind of stint to it. And so we do have 2 common spaces in that building that we utilize. Part of the criteria that was talked about is allowing for public kind of benefit of that building. Mr. Riggs did speak to that. He wants to allow us to still be able to use those public spaces for our meetings and for the benefit of the public. So I just want to kind of reiterate that. And also the budget director did just remind me that this is an enterprise fund building. So if we want to invest more into this building, we have to borrow it from the local government. So it's not something that just comes with making a motion to say, hey, we want to put more money into that building. We have to borrow it. Just as when we did our heating system, we depleted our cash reserves and had to borrow money back from the general fund to make sure we had heat in the building for the tenants. So just some points to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hassler. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. Thank you, Karen. I might have a few questions for you. I'm not sure. So you stated there was 2 people that gave you a mid-range on it. Can you name who they are? I mean, I know they got to be local realtors of some kind.
So the 2 commercial market analysis opinions of value, one was provided by Mike McLeod, and the other one was Charter Realty out of Belgrade.
Follow-up, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. So you said this is an enterprise fund. If this building sells and it's a $450,000 cash sale, where does this money go?
Director Hassler, would you come up and take that one?
So thank you, Madam Chair, members of council, Commissioner Fisher. It would go back to that enterprise fund. At that time, there would no longer be rents coming in. We would have to see how we would close that out and how it could be liquidated back to the general fund. But operating as an enterprise fund is no different than the water or the landfill. The general fund does not support those functions at all. The Business Development Center, as it is right now, is required to raise revenues to cover all of its expenditures. And when the boilers were replaced, they didn't borrow from the general fund, they borrowed from a bank.
Follow-up, Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. Thank you, Karen, I appreciate that. So if this is an enterprise fund, is it a sole enterprise fund, or do we have others? Buildings that are an enterprise fund. This is new to me. This is a new enterprise fund I've never heard about. I knew that the landfill, I knew the water company, I know all the enterprise funds. I've studied them for 10 years. This is a new enterprise fund. This shocks me that this is an enterprise fund on a building like this, and we're talking about selling it on an RFP. If it's an enterprise fund, it probably shouldn't have been sold on an RFP. It should have been sold in a different process, I would think. I mean, I don't know the rules and regulations, but common sense in doing things. It just don't seem like you sell enterprise funds on an RFP. So that's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Director Hassler, do you have anything you want to add?
Yes, Madam Chair and members of council, Commissioner Fisher, if you look in the budget book, all of the 5,000 funds are enterprise funds. So that's the water system, Silver Lake, Metro, landfill. Community facilities, which is our health department, they pay rent to Butte-Silver, that is 5711. The Armory, or the Don Peoples Center now, as well as the old, the facility that the Head Frames is renting, where the Superfund or the Department of Reclamation used to be housed, is also an enterprise fund, as well as the Business Development Center. Any fund that's listed with the 5,000 in our budget book is considered an enterprise fund.
Follow-up, Commissioner Fisher.
Okay, so I understand that part now, which is news to me, but so how can this money be spent? If we collect $450,000 for selling this building, we have $450,000, right? How can this money be spent?
Director Hassler.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council, Commissioner Fisher. I do believe that we would, when that enterprise no longer exists, that it would be liquidated, I'm assuming, I would have to find out for sure, back to the general fund, because there wouldn't be a business to support there anymore. So the asset would be gone. I have to say that if you were to look in the financial statements, that's pretty much the only asset that exists for that enterprise fund is the building, because it doesn't generate enough money to pay for itself.
Thank you, Director Hassler. Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chair Thatcher. I guess one additional thing is I think one of the mistakes that we're making here is that we're continuing to operate this building as a losing proposition. I mean, it hasn't really functioned like a development center for many years, and we don't do that with any other buildings that we own and lease in Butte-Silver. I mean, Butte-Silver owns the CCAS building on a long-term lease to them for a substantial amount of money. All the buildings that are out of the TIFID that Butte-Silver owns, those are, market rate or near market rate. We don't do that anywhere else, and I don't really understand why we do it on this one besides momentum. It's just the way that it has been for many years. Back in August, when we were considering this RFP, I brought a bunch of information about the lease amounts, the rent amounts that we're paying, that the tenants up there are paying. I believe that they're about 50% of what they should be. So, in the world of real estate, when you want to sell a building, you raise your rents and you figure out, what the actual market rate of your building is based on current rents. value the building based on rents that are 15 years old or 15 years behind what is the norm. So again, I think if we keep this building, which I think we should, I think we need to rethink how we operate the building and raise the rents a little bit so that we have some money in that enterprise fund to continue to invest in the building. And maybe we get creative and figure out some other way that we can do this. But I think selling this at a huge discount to somebody, especially before we have any kind of information about exactly what the criteria is going to be, is a mistake. And I hope that everybody votes yes on this deny.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Leary. To your point, I believe most of what you're talking about is in terms of private real estate, when you're talking about rents and stuff like that. I did have a question for Director Burns on some of his statements. They didn't necessarily seem fully accurate to me. I think you were kind of listening. Could you just touch on maybe some of the things that didn't sound? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher, members of council. So I think you mentioned the CCAS building, and that was the case. It was a leased building to a private company where they had full responsibility for all the maintenance and all of everything in that building. They no longer lease that building from us. They purchased it from us a few years ago after they became Montana Precision Products. They now have a loan from the Montana Board of Investments that they did for a huge expansion. So the Montana Board of Investments required that they transfer ownership of that building back to us as they're using it as collateral through the state loan program. So we have our names on that building again, but it's only for the term of the loan, and it's because the Montana Board of Investments requires that to happen. But they did buy that building from us, and that is, we don't have any responsibility for maintenance or anything else that goes on with the building. We have one building out in Montana Connections that is in the condo development that we constructed with German Gulch Development. We leased that building to one private individual company, and they do all the maintenance and manage that building completely themselves. So just a slightly different situation.
Thank you. It was important to set that record straight. Just a couple other things too. In my opinion, Mr. Riggs and his business partner have very much proven across Uptown Butte that they are very good stewards of these buildings, but also very good community partners. And so the concern about us not being able to use the boardroom or do anything like that seems like a moot point to me, because that isn't going to be the case. And if we need that in writing, I would assume that could probably be written into the resolution. But also, it's okay that Mr. Riggs stood up here last week and said, hey, he's not lying. He's done it every other place he has invested in. The second thing is, again, in my mind, here we are hindering Butte-Silver Bow. And here we are, whether we think that, I understand that Commissioner O'Leary is in the business of real estate, but so is his boss who performed the appraisal. And he said $450,000 was a fair rate on that. First thing. And second thing is, I hope that we all, before we vote on this, take into the consideration that with now the knowledge of this being an enterprise fund, and with the knowledge that we would have to borrow potentially from a bank, is that being a good steward of taxpayer money? Is that being a good steward of taxpayer money? I just want people to think about that, because in my mind, I would hope my constituents come and rip me apart if I vote to go to a bank and get a loan on behalf of them. So, thank you. That's my only point. Thank you. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That kind of, being the enterprise fund portion of that kind of changed my mind just a little bit about the things, because if we keep this property, we're gonna have to spend some money on it. Every time we come up here and we have to spend money on stuff, it's always an issue, right? I don't know if it's an issue, but it's a concern, right? Every time when I'm out on the streets, it's amazing how many people realize, and they follow the budget pretty well. There are people listening. So that's a concern to me too. Of where do we come up with the money? How do we do that? Because we'd have to change the whole program, right? And it kind of makes me think of, I hate to put it this way, we have a lot of other problems we could probably deal with. You know, maybe we can try to, this is going to be so funny, you're going to love this idea. If we get the 450, we can figure out how to get that into the Basin Creek home for fishers, bathrooms out there. So I'm sorry to say that, but that's not a bad idea, really. That's like a good idea. Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you very much, Chair Thatcher. I'm kind of concerned about the enterprise fund of this too, because we're being told a couple different things. We're told that it's a enterprise building and that it's all this extra work for the county to deal with, and that we're not in the landlord state and it's not really being used for what its purpose is, and we should do all of this, but we want to have some kind of control, and in the resolution that comes forth is going to outline the control that we should have. If we want control of this building, we should keep the building. If we don't want this building, we should sell the building. And if we're going to sell it, we shouldn't be putting, when I look at Southwest Montana, there's a huge boom going on all around us in Butte right now. It's growing like I've never seen before. Belgrade, Bozeman. I was over there this weekend visiting my nephew for his birthday and spent some time with them. It's growing like crazy. I was up in the Kalispell, went through Missoula this summer. They're both growing like crazy. So why would we put handcuffs on the potential development? If we want to sell it, and we should sell it, then we should sell it. We should put it to a realtor and get the most bang for our buck as possible. We should sell it and get the highest price, not some midpoint of a couple people. Or we should keep it. So the two things is sell it properly and not have control over it if we don't need control over it. And if we do need control over it, why are we having somebody else run it while we're putting stipulations and conditions on it? So for that, I would concur with Commissioner O'Leary's thing to deny this and place on file.
Hold on. I'm going to go to Commissioner O'Leary first. He had his hand up.
Thank you, Chair Thatcher. I guess one additional point, you know, I get that there's this desire to sell this and you know, wipe our hands clean and say we don't have to deal with this anymore. There's other options too, which we could get creative. I mean, we already were just discussing how we have this building out in the TIFID that we have on essentially a triple net lease where somebody else is responsible for it entirely, including maintenance. We could do the same thing with this building. We could continue to hold the building and put it out on RFP for somebody else to take it over and operate it as a business development center. But Butte-Silver continues to retain ownership. There are other things that we can do besides just giving up control of this building. The reason why I brought up the courthouse being full is that there is, you know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't think that there's much additional space in the courthouse for anything else. I've been told by multiple people that the courthouse is full. So, you know, we're in the process of studying our local government, and if that happens, we are cutting ourselves short. We are making a decision before a very large decision may be made that we might be, you know, shaking our heads that we did this in a couple of years. So, you know, we can get creative with this. We can always revisit it in a year. We can revisit it in 2 years. It doesn't matter. This is an RFP. We don't have to make decisions. We're not changing any rules along the way. This is the process. We got some proposals, and I think that the proposals were good proposals, but I still think that the $450,000 sale price is not appropriate. And just one reminder, the appraisal or the market analysis from Mr. McLeod is a 4-year-old appraisal, I believe, 3 or 4 years old. So it's not current. And the one that was done by the other party is from somebody out of town. So I'm not sure how familiar they are with our market. So again, I think we can get creative. I don't think it's a good idea to sell this building. And to Commissioner Anderson's point, if we want control of the building and what happens there, then we need to retain control. And additionally, like all of our other enterprise funds, when we have shortages in our enterprise funds, what do? We go and we adjust the rates. You know, we increase the water bills. We increase landfill rates. We figure out a way to make the enterprise funds balance. And in this case, we have been shortchanging ourselves for many years by having the rents so incredibly low. So again, let's think about ways to get creative before we rush this.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Leary. I hope we're not encouraging a rate increase on our taxpayers just because we don't want to sell a building. Commissioner Mankins.
Thank you, Chairwoman Thatcher. I think just a few of the things, I think if we've seen more of the clarity with the RFP, I know that Director Burns has stated that, you know, if this went through, that there'd be some more logistics with the RFP and to show what was actually going to be done with the gentlemen's, with Mr. Riggs and Mr. Waring. I, again, like Commissioner Fisher said, I was not here for the presentations. From what I looked at, that, you know, it seemed like everybody, one of the things that I found, though, that both of the bids came in at $450. I don't, that's one thing that the other group that came in also had $450. I don't understand why that's just like a tie. That seems like we should have some kind of an option. You'd have to go back and give us your best offer to get this. We talked about, you know, Park Street. There really wasn't an RFP there. I think it's still a vacant lot. When did that go through? Nothing has been done with that. So that's kind of one of the things with these, when you're talking about this RFP. So I'm definitely seeing both sides of this, but it just doesn't seem, you know, real great what we've done with our RFPs and what we've done with sales. I know I've been on the side of, like Commissioner Thatcher continues to bring it up with the Mammoth project, but I think the Mammoth project is in a good place right now, and that's my own personal opinion. With this also, though, I just think that there has to be more things laid out with this RFP to make sure that we are getting a better deal if this was to go through. In our past, you know, we haven't had anything. Like I said, I continue to go back to Park Street, that there's nothing there, it's vacant. And we didn't put a detailed enough RFP. I mean, in all reality, that land should have already been back to us for $70-some thousand, and we should be really reselling that again for about $500,000. So I'm really conflicted on, oh yeah, for sure. Kind of conflicted on where to go with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Mankins. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So one good thing that if we do decide to sell it, when we obviously can go to the RFP situation. Okay, so the good thing about having the RFP in front of us is we can learn from our mistakes, whatever they may or may have been in prior things. Even though that is a vacant lot down there on Park Street, I'm definitely going to stick up for that because whatever decision we make, I'm going to eat it and love it, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. And I think the vacant lot looks way better than it did prior. It's on the tax roll right now. The investors in that are in process. Things happen, whatever. They could turn around and sell that. I'm sure if they could get $500,000 for it, I'm sure they would sell.
Commissioner O'Neill, let's just make sure we're talking about the property on tonight's agenda.
Thank you very much. So the RFP thing, if we do sell it, allows us to throw some stuff in there that would make us feel warm and fuzzy to do that. Either we're making money tonight for the county, or we'd have to come with some other creative ways to figure out what we would do to keep the building and whatever. But in trueness, that's not our job to do that. I mean, I guess maybe it kind of is, but I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I'm 50-50 at this moment, so.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Neill. Commissioner Boyle, and then Commissioner Fisher.
I just wanted to make a motion that we concur and place this motion on and vote to pass it.
Is that in the form of a substitute motion?
Yes.
Fails for lack of a second. So we're back to the original motion. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this. I think most of us are like riding the fence. I'm 50-50, just like Commissioner O'Neill said. I do agree with, though, with it being an enterprise fund, Commissioner O'Leary had a point. You know, when the water rates, we raised the rate. When we needed more money to dump, we raised the dump rate. Why have we had this enterprise fund for as long as I can remember and still not making it pay like we did other enterprise funds? That makes a lot of sense to me, being that said. So, I mean, I don't look like we're going to go with a concurrent place on file because we didn't get a second. So it's looking a little bleak on the side of the other one. So it's probably time to call for the vote.
Is that a motion? Second.
He said it wasn't a motion.
Oh.
Director Burns.
Thank you, Chairman Thatcher, members of council. I just wanted to clarify that as we have run this building over the years with our tenants in that building, every year not every single year, but over the last 10 years, we have raised people's rents every time they renew their lease because we knew we were in this situation. We don't want to raise people's rates so high that we are kicking them out. And so we have steadily increased rates as people renew their leases, as tenants move out, new tenants move in. This building used to house, I want to remind everyone, it used to house the Butte Local Development Corporation and Headwaters RC&D. And those two entities did function as a business sort of incubation atmosphere. When those two entities decided to leave our building and go rent space in another spot, that left a big hole there in the building, both as a rent generation and as an incubator type space for businesses coming in. And so we kind of lost the flavor at that moment. And so to run a full-time business incubator takes a full-time person. And so when this building was placed underneath community development as part of our responsibilities to help maintain, although I told the council it is a team, all of our departments work together to maintain this building and keep it functioning. It was not functioning in a healthy way as a business development center or as an incubator. We've done the very best that we can. And so also I wanted to just clarify, the reason we went out for RFP is this body chose to do that. I laid out multiple options of I was a proponent of doing the RFP because that does give us the ability to have some say and some criteria on the sale. There are other ways to sell county property. That's in the county property sale ordinance. We could have auctioned it. We could have done a lot of different things. I recommended the RFP. This body agreed with that. And that's how we moved it forward. So I feel like we're kind of going back and saying, well, we want to talk about it again. We really want to do it a different way now. So that is truly this body's decision. It's not my decision. I do want to say that I am in favor of moving this forward tonight. We've gotten 2 great proposals from people. We have one before us that our committee is recommending from Mr. Riggs. He is here in the room listening to this right now, and he would be happy to answer any questions people might have of him after the sale, if it were to take place. But I really do believe that this is the best that we can do for Butte-Silver Bow and our taxpayers and the tenants of the building. I really feel like this is the best decision we could make. But that is, again, my opinion. It's your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. He was up first, and then let me come to you, Commissioner Healy. Commissioner Anderson.
I'll make a motion to call for the vote.
A motion's been made and seconded to call for the vote. So now, Commissioner Healy, you don't get your statement. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to call for the vote. Could commissioners please vote? Yeah, so this motion, thank you, Commissioner Callahan. This motion specifically right now is just to call for the vote on voting for Commissioner O'Leary's motion to deny. This is not specifically the motion to deny. This is just the motion to call for the vote. So would commissioners please vote? Yeah, would anyone like to change their vote? Commissioner Mankins would like to change his vote. We can just say it when you swap. Okay, clerk, please record the vote. Okay, is that what you wanted to change? Okay, so the motion to call for the vote passes 9-1. We will now move to the motion made by Commissioner O'Leary, which was to deny and place on file communication number 2025-560. Is there anything on the question? Can I even do that? Oh, I'm looking at number 14, I'm sorry. Number 24, to deny and place on file communication number 2025-570. Commissioner Shea.
Discussion is ended, but I would like a point of clarification procedurally. What happens to the communication if this motion fails?
County Attorney Enro.
If the motion to deny and place on file fails, then a second or a substitute, not a substitute motion, a new motion could be made at that point in time to concur and place on file if requested to do so. That'll be my understanding. We can review the rules real quick too, but other than, well, actually, no, I take that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. It wasn't seconded though, so you are correct.
This is when, unless it's like a motion to hold in abeyance, it would have to be, I guess, something along those lines.
The commission would still have to act on the communication.
Yeah, it's not. Okay. Would commissioners please vote? I'm sorry. This is for Commissioner O'Leary's motion. Does anyone want to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
5 yay, 5 nay.
5 nay, and then I'm the tiebreaker. Okay, so County Attorney Enro.
I gotta grab the rules. Since we've been here for an hour, everybody take a 5-minute break.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. I don't think it requires a two-thirds. I'm the tiebreaker. Yeah, but not on this motion specifically. I'm the tiebreaker, which is what I said, and then... let's just make sure, commissioners, that we are not talking about the specific agenda item that we are on. This is just a recess. Has it been 5 minutes? Does anybody know? I know we're looking for County Attorney Enruth. Okay. We'll give it a couple more minutes, son. County Attorney Enruth, do you have an update for us? I'm going to call the meeting back to order. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. I'm going to call the meeting back to order. I think everybody's back. What's up? Oh, would commissioners check in, please? Yeah, for the call to order again. Clerk, please record the roll. Thank you. County Attorney Enruth.
Yes, Chairwoman Thatcher, pursuant to the charter under section 3.05D in the rules of this commission, the presiding officer of all regular and special meetings of the Council of Commissioners shall be either the chief executive or other designee, who shall be the tie-breaking vote under the specific motion that's placed in front of the commission. It is not a motion to sell the property. It is a motion to deny it. It does not require a 2/3 vote because it's the secondary motion.
Thank you, County Attorney Enruth. So this is just mine, right? Because you already closed out the vote. Is that correct, Caitlin? Okay, thank you. So my motion is to, no, I just want to make sure I get this one right. I don't think I want to motion to deny. No, I don't want to deny. Okay, yes. Clerk, please record the vote.
1 nay.
No, the motion to deny, I said no, right? Yeah. Don't scare me like that, Commissioner Shea. Okay, so that motion then does not pass. So now, procedurally, I think we would have to make another motion, but since we already made the motion to concur and place on file and that did not pass, I think it would have to be separate. But Commissioner Shea.
I will make a motion that we hold this in abeyance.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to hold communication number 2025-570 in abeyance. Is there anything on the question? Would commissioners please vote?
Oh, sorry. My battery's going dead.
Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
9 yea, 1 nay.
9 yea, 1 nay. Motion passes to hold in abeyance. Okay, moving on to Section 3, resolutions and ordinances introduced to judiciary. I did speak to Caitlin, and those just do have to be introduced. Nothing has to be said or read. So then I would just move on to calendar of other meetings and events and just have everybody take a look at those. Now I will call for any public comment on any matter not on the agenda. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Sarah Bordoon at 1127 Waukesha Street. I've been informed that my item is on the agenda, and so I will not be able to make comments tonight. However, I would have, and I will be here next Tuesday. I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. Apparently, I was supposed to have talked in the open session prior to the starting of the agenda items. So I'm sad to report that, but I would love to give you an update on my takeaways from the Montana Connections TED board and what we learned there. So we'll have to wait for next Tuesday.
Thank you, Ms. Bordoon. Is there anybody else with any public comment not on the agenda? Okay, and yes, as Ms. Bordoon noted, our next week's meeting is on Tuesday, November 20 something. 25th. Thank you. Regular times, but yes, on Tuesday, November 25th. If there's nothing else for the good order, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.